Maxime Vachier-Lagrave may have been perfect in week 1 of the Pro Chess League, but can the Frenchman repeat that performance and lead the Migraines to victory again in week 2? It's the first Super GM tournament of the year, but it has us all asking the same old questions. Can anybody keep up with Magnus Carlsen on the chessboard? And finally, Grandmaster Simon Williams joins ChessCenter to review the best and worst moves from the previous 2 weeks of play. ChessCenter, the only place where cats and dogs, brilliancies and blunders can get along swimmingly. Joining ChessCenter for the first time, Grandmaster Simon Williams, more popularly known as the Ginger GM. He's here to take us through the top moves of the week right now. And with the position on the board, this brilliant tactic played by Gusianov. Simon, what does this position remind you of?
Well, this is a great example. It reminds me of the game Kasparov versus Nigel Short. And actually, more recently, there was a game where Jabava played the same move, bishop to h6 against Ponomariov to win a game. And this move here is an example of an empty square sacrifice, because you're placing the piece on a seemingly empty square, on a very bizarre square. But of course, you're opening up the black king here. So it's a fantastic move.
Yeah, and of course, as we see on the board, black can't actually take the bishop. The bishop is poisoned. Because of that, black played f6, but only to lose not only the pawn, but eventually more material fell, and white went on to win a brilliant attack. Our next move of the week, also from the Pro Chess League, showed a lady up to no good. Tell everybody what Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky played here to keep his attack going as white.
Well, I mean, Daniel had played a lovely game up to this point, and now he plays this very sneaky little move, a bit like a ballet move, I'd say. You know, sneaking around with queen to b1, and that is just a crafty queen diving into the position there.
Yeah, she's shooting from one side of the board to the other. I think it's the kind of shot that your opponent might have missed when they chose to walk their king up the board. And Daniel went on to win in a very nice fashion in this game. But finally, we move on to our top move of the week. There really was no contest, because this tactic here is about as brilliant as it gets. Simon, I'll let you do the honors.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of puzzle that you probably should see in every kind of puzzle book. And I would call it a tombstone checkmate, Danny, because if I did this checkmate, I'd want it on my tombstone. Queen g7 check. And it's just beautiful, because that queen has to be taken, and then it's checkmate in 2 moves here.
Knight f6 check, followed by h takes g7. Of course, the opponent was kind enough to play it on the board. That is some sexy stuff, and we will see you soon to review maybe some not so sassy stuff for blunders of the week. Joining us live from Tata Steel just before they shut the lights off is the one and only Peter Dawkers. Peter, what's the update?
Yeah, well, of course, the question is Magnus Carlsen, who did not win gold medals in Doha, Qatar, will he be winning his first classical chess tournament in Wijk aan Zee after that? But before we go into the actual situation, first something about opening theory, because the first 2 rounds were dominated by a very remarkable move against the Sicilian Najdorf, which is 6a3. This was played by Sergei Karyakin in the first round against Anish Giri. And yeah, all kinds of moves have been tried, of course, in the Najdorf, including Bobby Fischer's 6h3. And well, later on, Karyakin would be tweeting that well, one of the reasons was that he didn't have an adapter for his laptop, so he couldn't really prepare very well, and that's why he chose that a3 move. I don't really believe that he never actually analyzed it, but okay, maybe there's some truth in that tweet. But interestingly, the very next round, Magnus Carlsen was inspired by Karyakin and also played 6a3 against Radek Wojtaszek. And well, as Karyakin only drew his game, Carlsen actually won his game with that move. So rather funny start of the event. And yeah, Wednesday is a rest day at the tournament, and at the moment we have played 4 rounds. And Magnus is doing well with +2. Wesley So is expectedly doing well with +2. But the leader actually is Pavel Elyanov of Ukraine, who is on +3. He has beaten the number 12, 13, and 14 in the current standings. That is Atiban, Rapport, and Van Wely. So Elyanov is still going to face the toughest opponents. But yeah, he is the leader on the first rest day.
Jumping onto ChessCenter now is FIDE Master Mike Klein with all the big news and updates regarding the Pro Chess League.
That's right, Danny. In week 2, we have what's known in sports as Rivalry Week. teams that are close geographic neighbors will face off against each other. For example, the Montclair Sopranos against the New Jersey Knockouts. We're going to figure out who's the ruling crime boss in the state of New Jersey. We've also got some big individual names making their first league appearances. Li Chao for the Montreal Chess Bros. He'll be leaned on heavily in their all-Canada matchup against Toronto. Also, Hikaru Nakamura is making his first appearance in the league for the Miami Champions. Now, by some statistical measures, they were the #1 rated team in the league, but only had an 8-8 week 1 tie. They're going to need Nakamura in their match against New York. We've also got Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the bon vivant of internet chess. He loves it there. He went 4-0 in week 1 for the Marseille Migraines. Wouldn't be surprised if he played every week, but this week he goes up against their French Riviera rivals, the Cannes Blockbusters. Those are the big names we're looking forward to seeing.
Now, you travel all over Africa, Mike, so how are you getting ready for the all-Nigerian matchup in Rivalry Week?
Well, Danny, I'm stocking up on my coconut flour pancakes. We've got the Abuja Rockstars against the Lagos Leatherbacks, the once and former capitals of Nigeria. It's going to be a fun one.
We are excited. Of course, everyone can check out a full day's worth of coverage at Chess.com TV. It's 16 hours of nonstop action, and we will see you all there. And now it's time for Alexandra and I to take our semi-weekly look into the Pro Chess League. And for our first edition, I think we have to answer a question. Just how much do the fans and these players actually care about their team's results in the Pro Chess League? We'll let everybody take a look at this video and decide that for themselves.
The puffers! Yeah! High fives all around, come on, man! Woo!
How can fans not care when they see him celebrating like that? I think this is just a great opportunity to bring online chess into something that's more of a team sport, into something that you can actually see the emotions chess players are having. It brings a lot of new energy to the game, and I think being able to see behind the scenes funny videos like this is something that's going to attract a lot more viewers into the Pro Chess League in the future.
And I hope that we get to see even more videos, not only from the Puffins. I admit I chanted the Puffins as I went to sleep that night and even started a hashtag on Twitter, but many other teams who give us that kind of look into how their top players feel toward the end of their games. Thank you, Alexandra, and we will keep the fans updated with more results from the Pro Chess League. On the dark side of the chessboard, a side of the force Simon Williams knows well, that is, of course, how to make some blunders, especially after you've developed a really nice, brilliant attack, Simon. That is a pain that you, I think, share with Richard Rapport from time to time.
It is indeed, Danny, and I've thrown away many a great game from doing a stupid blunder. Actually, often against you, Danny, in our rivals matches. But let's not mention that too much. It's a bit too painful still. But in this position, Richard had played a great game, and he was on the verge of defeating Wesley So, and he now came up with this move, Queen G6, and this looks very natural with a white king in that box down there, but it's actually a major blunder because it walks into knight to e7. And after the knight jumps into this position, well, it's clear after a couple more moves that black just doesn't have enough compensation. And he throws everything into the mix. There goes the kitchen sink. But at the end of it all, well, he's going to be a lot of material down. So It was a nice game, Danny, up to a certain point.
Yeah, definitely heartbreaking to see the young Hungarian not able to come up with a full point there, especially if you're rooting for those types of attacks to succeed. But maybe not so heartbreaking if you're Pantala Harikrishna is your opponent's abilities to self-mate. At the end of last week's ChessCenter reviewing 2016, he won a game where Sheparinov did a similar thing, though on the opposite side of the board. Here, Bhaskaran Adibon, well, he does Harikrishna a big favor. Tell everybody what that was.
Well, he does indeed. I mean, this is the kind of Christmas gift that, that just keeps on giving. And we had black here in probably a slightly worse position. But had he had gone king f7, the game goes on. It's about equal. Right. But he goes, instead of this retreating move, he plays this absolutely kamikaze, crazy move. I mean, you keep your king safe. He moves it into the open. It's like running like a naked king into the battleground. And he's going to be gunned down here. King to f5, knight h4 check, king g5. And now it just gets trapped. Rook g6 check, and look at that king. Where's it going? It's going nowhere. And it gets trapped. Checkmate next move. So that's a horrible blunder for someone so strong.
a self-mate like no other, especially the kind of mate you don't want to have happen at an event like the Tata Steel tournament, the first Super GM tournament to kick off every chess year. But for our third blunder, as we count down, I don't even know if I need to let you explain one more time what happened here. In fact, I think we're going to jump over to a clip where you and Fiona covered this position live during the first week of the Pro Chess League and explained to everybody what this obscure blunder was.
Can't touch this. Boom, boom. He moves his king there. Offering Saint Black Queen if you want to,
but
because
it's a mate, no?
If you go there, knight. Yeah. Oh no! Did he miss that? Maybe he hasn't got auto promote on. Maybe he hasn't got auto. This could be one of the weirdest moments ever.
But he has.
Well, no, he didn't do it. He could have gone.
But it was a mate.
It was a mate. He could have gone D1 mate, but he maybe doesn't have auto promote on. D1 equals knight is checkmate, but maybe on his settings he's put auto promote to a queen on. I've never seen that. I'm going crazy. I mean, look, isn't that mate? What are we missing? If he goes pawn to D1 equals knight checkmate,
and he only has 45 seconds.
He only has 40.
He's probably looking at his settings.
Where are the settings? How do I change it to knight? Where do I go? Where is the knight? I've got it on queen. Oh no, he's gone queen.
Well, this week, Alexandra, the chess world was abuzz talking about a book titled The Mating Game, co-written by international master and British women's champion Jovanka Huska. It brings two topics together that you don't normally hear talked about, especially not in mainstream media. That is sex and chess. So on that note, I'll ask you, do you think the topic and the way this book is being portrayed is going to be something that gets the chess world a little bit more love?
Well, I think the media is already portraying this as the 50 Shades of Grey of the chess world. They've definitely already taken the angle of chess and sex, but I think if you listen to some of Jovanka's interviews, she mentions that most of the novel is actually also focused on romance and telling the story of a female chess player who's trying to achieve her lifetime goal of becoming a chess grandmaster and ends up getting entangled in some romantic endeavors. But whether or not it breaks into mainstream media, I'm not sure if it will. At least it's already gotten a lot of support from the chess community. And at the end of the day, we have to give her credit where it's due for trying to do something creative and bring a fresh angle onto the chess world.
Certainly, it already got us talking about it here on ChessCenter. It'll be interesting to see how the fans react once the book is actually available to read from start to finish. And who knows, maybe we'll get Jovanka and her co-author, James Essinger, on the show soon to discuss. He's back, he's bad, but he doesn't have much time. Mike, you're batting leadoff.
The Grand Chess Tour has given us a look under the hood of their new universal rating system. Now that we've seen it from the inside, how does it compare to the Chess.com CAPS system?
Well, if you ask our members, probably anything is better at measuring true player strength than our own CAPS system. Speaking of getting better, Fabiano Caruana's life continues to improve. He just made Forbes 30 under 30, but how does he stack up against the other young people on the list?
Well, the other 29 are pretty much all esports platform creators. He's the only true gamer on the list, so well done. Now, sticking with Fabiano, women's grandmaster Jennifer Shahadi just had her first child. Congrats to her. She named her boy Fabian. That's 3 of the 4 same syllables. What are your thoughts on that choice?
Not sure if you forgot to buy the O from Pat or maybe couldn't get Vanna's help on that one, but if you want to plant the seeds of subconscious chess future, let's go all the way with Fabiano. Speaking of chess future, what will be FIDE's future with all the controversy surrounding the Women's World Championship in Iran? Now, Maria Muzichuk dropped out, but the biggest news about the article is that they used a picture of her sister to talk about her dropping out. How big of an insult is that?
Well, I guess if you go to Iran and wear a full face veil, it doesn't really matter what picture you use after all. We find out in another Forbes 30 under 30 list that Ravens offensive lineman John Urschel is not the only NFLer to love chess. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell is also on that list. Should those two play a match one day?
If the NFL is looking for propaganda to push the anti-concussion angle away, let's start highlighting just how smart these guys are, and of course they need to play a chess match. Looking ahead toward the end of the year, Mike, we now see that so many open events are actually getting just as strong of lineups as closed events like Tata Steel to start things. We got Gibraltar around the corner. Is it possible we might be looking at things where the opens field a stronger field of players than the closed?
I think so. Let's just look at the numbers. Both Tata and Gibraltar have exactly a dozen players over 2,700. But you know what Gibraltar also has? 21 more players over 2,600 and 73 total grandmasters. I think the continued rise of open tournaments is not going to stop in 2017.
Mike, bring in the facts, bring in the noise. Thanks for bringing it on ChessCenter, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Denny. That means we'll find out who is the biggest crime boss in New Jersey. I actually forgot the names of the teams in New Jersey.
That's awesome. Biggest crime boss.
Montclair.
I'm an idiot. Let's restart. Keep going. Everybody's happy. No about having their team do well. So let's take with that note. Let's totally the take, Danny, and then let's redo it again. Okay, good.
Similar idea. Bishop to h6 against Nigel Short.
Hold on. Sorry, we got to restart. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Some started calling my cell phone in the middle of it.
Ah.